Morning, big boy. That sounds weird. But this is Big Boy Talk, so that's fine. We're at episode 16.
Nice.
Yeah, that's about 4 months or something like that. Yeah, it's 16. And we basically try to improve our English in this podcast. That's the main goal. And we encourage our Romanian brothers to listen to this one also, to improve their English too, in a way. Listening to stuff in English helps you, I think. I learn English by watching cartoons, mainly.
And it's a good opportunity for them to make fun of us.
Yeah.
We have this Russian accent.
Do I have it too?
Yes, you do.
Yeah, okay. It's harder to see in yourself or to hear it.
You sound like a Russian Dracula, right?
Oh, so we both do. That's fine.
No, that's me. Yeah.
I hear your accent is pretty close to mine, so I'm probably somewhere in that area.
But today
Yeah.
we're talking about politics, or the importance of regular people to be invested and interested and informed in every or in most of the political debate in their country or in other countries.
Should you be very involved, very informed, or should you be ignorant to some degree, just living your life according to your plan and
adjust.
Yeah, just according to what's happening, or keeping an eye on things, but not letting politics be your main focus and letting it absorb all your conversation and stuff like that. And I was thinking about talking about one of the most interesting political races in our lifetime, probably, and that's Donald Trump versus Hillary, and now Donald Trump is a president, and what we learned from watching that. And
yes, an outsider's look, because we don't live in the US. We've been there, we've seen people, we have American friends, and we've seen both sides of the spectrum. We used to watch mainstream media news in the US before that, before getting in touch with the right-wing community, if you can say like this. So we used to watch John Oliver, Jimmy Fallon, and morning.
Good morning.
And after some time, inclusive when we started watching the race between Hillary and Trump, we started listening to the other side.
Yeah, it's interesting. That was the moment, that we switched from left-leaning opinions to maybe both sides of the issue.
Because in the US, it's kind of different. It's not the same as in Romania. In Romania, the left party is the traditional one. That looks more like the communist one. It's more closed in ideas. The right-wing one. So the main people in Romania who are promoting the progressivism, the progressive ideas of the West, are also right-leaning in when we talk about laws, when we talk about money, investment, and policies. So it's kind of difficult if you're not really aware to identify one party from Romania with one from the US, because we have half and half. Like I could say like this: the Democratic Party has the policies with bigger government, bigger government inclusion, like our left-leaning parties. Yet they are more progressive, the Democrats in America, and the progressive part is taken by the right-wing parties in Romania. So we have both parties from both ends of the spectrum in Romania with with the same ideology as the Democratic Party in the US. So it's kind of hard if you don't understand it like this. So you cannot identify a party from the US with one from Romania. So you have to watch it in a correct mind, with a correct mindset.
Yeah.
So we were watching before that those shows, and they were always presenting the left-leaning opinion on things.
Mm-hmm.
And
And Trump was the worst thing that could happen to a left-leaning opinion.
yes, and for me, Trump wasn't a good option. Okay, it isn't an option for me because I'm not in that system. But for me, Trump was a bad idea for them. And I said, okay, this is a bad idea for you. But now, 2 years have passed,
something
2
like that.
years and something, and you have to look from the outside. Okay, what happened to America, to the US? Did they collapse?
No.
No. Have there been laws that encouraged racism or other things that he was accused of?
No.
Not really. So most of it was part of the enraging and outraging culture that we were talking about before that. It's the media's way of getting money, getting rich, promoting an outrage culture. Everything that people do, it's outrageous, is going to get us to collapse, is going to destroy our lives. And if you started going down this road, you have to keep feeding that feeling that everything is going to be bad. So,
yeah, it's the one thing that I got stuck on from what you just said is when I thought about Trump, I said he's not good for them. And that's I also thought that, but that's a very stupid idea to think. And it's important that we realize that when you look at another country and based on something you hear online or that you read online, which is one person's opinion, you form your own opinion that's so strong that you are willing to yell at people about it. I mean, you aren't even there. You didn't even listen to him for 2 minutes, but based on a 5-second video that you saw, taken out of context usually, you say, okay, my opinion is final and I
hope
know,
you're not defending that he was misinterpreted, that he was saying the good stuff and people took it out of context. No, he's not really sane. That's for sure. But
I'm just saying that it's not smart at all to form an opinion based on one other person's opinion. And that, or if you do form an opinion, you should admit that that's not a strong opinion or a strong argument. You shouldn't yell at anybody. You should say, well, I did read an article saying that he's crazy or something like that, but it was just an article, and if you have something more, if you studied it more, I'm probably switching to your thing right away because I realize that I don't really have a base for my ideas. So that's just a basic thing.
Yeah, but that's a normal, almost a normal thing to do when you watch only the one-sided part of the story. Even with politics in our country or other country, if you don't look at the big picture and at some point say, okay, this is not who I would choose, but let's think more about the facts, the things that he applies, the laws that he gives, the things that impact me directly. Are those good or bad? This is my decision, and this is my problem is with Romania now, because I don't have a problem with the people that run it.
Oh.
I have a problem with the implications of their actions.
Okay.
So I see those things and I say, okay, I have a problem with what you do. I don't. You're there because you are elected, in a democratic way, okay, you should be there.
Okay.
But I have a problem with the way you act in these situations and with these laws. When you think about the US, I think the contrary it's important for them. You look at them and say, I don't care what you did for the country, the laws that you give, and other things that you do. I care about what you say on Twitter and the fact that you're kind of weird and I don't agree with you as my president. So, and I have to disclose this. We in Romania have a problem with thinking that we are smarter than other people. Because we have smart people in our country, we think that we are all smart, and I think this is a thing that the left in the US does that. Because we were watching a lot of left-leaning media, and they all portrayed Americans as dumb, as stupid. And I have two problems with this. One, us, the rest of the world, look at them, the Americans, and say, they are stupid. First of all, that is not true. Can you Google something, the IQ list on average in the world? Because that is one of the things that I know the answer, but Google it. That is one of the things that shocked me. We all say that Americans are stupid. But guess what? They're smarter than us.
Yeah, they're tied for number 9 as on average.
On average, number 9 in the world. I think Singapore is the first one, right?
Yeah, Hong Kong and Singapore.
Singapore and
South Korea, Japan. China is number 3.
But China is not really trustworthy because some of their they don't really have a clear measuring system.
No. Romania is 13.
We are kind of smart, but not smarter than the Americans.
Okay.
So on average, we are stupider than the people we call stupid. So if you call someone stupid and statistically you are stupider than that person, that makes you even stupider. So that's not a good thing for you to say, first of all. And second of all, I did not see and talk with anyone who's been to the US and not only for 2 days and in a bad place, but to visit around and say that is a bad place to live. That is a great place to live. One of the best on earth to live. So if it's good to be there, if they're smarter than us, we are told from the US that they are stupid. Because only we made our judgment, we made our call based on Jay Leno's interviews on the street. They were showing people some maps and show me where Ukraine is, and they had no idea. They were pointing to Africa or something like that. Yeah, but that's not relevant. They were interviewing tens of people who are not very smart, and they were only showing those who are really stupid. And that doesn't mean that's in
the funniest.
Yeah, that's the funniest thing. That's not the average American. The average American is quite intelligent. We're making. I can show you another statistic. We're making fun of the Americans. This is not a pro-America podcast, but we're making fun of the Americans that they are fat. They're not that fat. One of the I know a lot of people there who are really fitter than me, and more interested in being healthy than the majority of the Romanians I know. Because they are thinking about it. They went through a stage that they didn't care. They in some of the areas they are a lot fatter than they should be. But in the big cities, go to Chicago and see how many fat people do you see. Not that many. Because people in the center of the town, you can go into the villages, yes, maybe. But people at our age, are more interested in sport than in our country. There,
Yeah, possibly.
we thought we played basketball quite well, and they took us to a court and they showed me that okay, we have an European style that is quite interesting, but they know how to play basketball. And
Yeah.
so my point,
Yeah.
we're thinking about the US because they told us that they're stupid, but they're not really stupid. And we thought that Donald Trump is the worst decision they can make, because people told us that he is kind of crazy. But now, when you think about the policy and where America is right now, you say, okay, is it that bad? Or all this outrage, all these things that almost divided the nation were irrelevant and were only dust that fuel some feud between two halves of countries and of that country, and is irrelevant in the big picture and in the average person's life. Is your life better or worse if you don't pay attention to this? And in the US case, I'm sure that if you're not involved, you're better off.
Yeah, and also for us, maybe.
Yeah.
It was interesting for me as a person who watched the election in America pretty closely. I started with thinking, because I was watching people who told me that, started with thinking that Trump is downright stupid and he's the worst and he can't do anything right. And I ended up with a very different opinion of him. I definitely don't think he's stupid. It's kind of strange for me that he's willing to say a lot of outrageous things and he's willing to insult a lot of people, which I don't think a leader should do.
Yeah, true.
But some of the things that changed my mind were when I found out that he went to and graduated from West Point University, which is one of the most respected schools in the country. It's a military school. It's really tough to get into and really tough to graduate from, and they somebody who graduates from it, in my opinion, is pretty smart, pretty disciplined, and it really was a shock for me when I found that out. And I said, oof, okay, that changes some things. And then talking to an American, which is always a good thing to do before you judge another country and somebody from it, told me that he's a New Yorker, and New Yorkers are kind of different from other parts of the country and other people in the world, in that they are arrogant, they talk, they make a lot of threats that they don't intend to, while a normal person in America or in the world says, if you're gonna do that, I'm gonna be very unhappy and maybe I'm gonna stop you. A New Yorker says, I'm gonna drop a nuclear weapon on your house, which he doesn't have it, he's not gonna do it, but they just use expressions like that because that's the way they talk. It's the city brings that out in them or something like that. And he also was always rich, and he has a rich person's perspective, and sorry, he thinks certain things are easy. He thinks money is available to everyone, and probably some things that we would also think if we have the same past as him. So in no way do I think he's a great leader, or maybe he is, but that's the way my opinion changed. But I no longer think he's crazy. I even think that he put some thought into the things he said, including when he insulted some people. He made his calculation and said, okay, if I insult this group, this bigger group is gonna come after me. And he used, come after me, follow me, I mean. And he smartly used people's hatred of each other and the group think that we were talking about to become popular. And if anything, he changed my opinion on the presidency. And maybe I got this idea a little bit from Joe Rogan. He made me think that it's pretty crazy that we have a kind of a popularity contest for somebody who's gonna run the military. And like with anything, one person is more corruptible than a small group of people. And big decisions should maybe be made by a small group of people, also elected, also experienced, capable, but one person...
I tend to disagree with Rogan on this one. Because it's funny when he says it in his that this is a popularity contest.
Yeah.
But what is a democracy? Is a popularity contest. It's someone that we would like to rule us. So if you are not popular, you shouldn't rule. So
yeah, okay. On one hand, that's true.
Because only the dictators are the ones who rule, and they're not popular. They're not wanted by the people, the majority. So you want this as is not the best solution, but is the best one we have. That someone with his skills, with his abilities, will convince the biggest part of the population that he is able to rule, and he wants the best for the people.
Yeah.
So if he is able to convince them, they will vote for him. But after he does it the first time and he doesn't live up to his promises, he's changed. And this is why traditional parties exist. Because if you don't, this would be a terrible idea if there weren't any parties. So each individual would have a chance of running a nation. And I will say, okay, I will do this year. I failed. I put this nation in the ground. My bad. The next one. But no. If you have a two-party system like the US has, it's not only the president, because you have the House, you have the Congress, and you have a bigger responsibility, and you have things that follow after that. If you do a bad job for 4 years, you're not going to. Not only the president will not be elected, but you will be out of the Senate. You will be out of the Congress with your whole party. So you have to try and do the best of jobs you can. So you will stay there, because the person that is the president is irrelevant. The party is the one who suffers the most. So if you do this in a bad way, you will be removed, and the other party will take 4, 8 years.
And in a way,
so there are consequences.
Yeah, but in a way, what I said is already happening. In that the president doesn't have absolute power in any way. I mean, the House or the Parliament or the group of people that's elected by the people also mainly has the power still.
Yes.
I mean, the president does have military power, and I should read more about this, but from what I understand, he has to have certain approvals for work, at least.
And this is kind of weird, because he doesn't make those decisions at night. Obama was the one who promised a lot of withdrawals from different areas, and in his time he didn't do it. He spent more on the war. More people went overseas, and I think the highest rate of killings with drones happened in his time. So it's not really relevant what he says to the public. It's what he does. And he was a one that was quite silent on this front, but very active in real life. But people don't. I talked with someone, with a Romanian who was there. I think 10 or 12 years when Bush was elected the second time, and people said from the outside, how can you elect someone who is quite stupid? He looks like he's stupid. He talks sometimes like he's stupid. Why would you re-elect someone like that? And the answer is simple, because middle class people and working class people vote with their pocket, with their wallet.
No.
You know, with the wallet.
Yeah.
Because they say, okay, for the next 4 years or 8 years, do I want to have a better life, or do I want a better social justice system? Do I want more give outs from the government and a bigger government, or do I want something to have lower taxes on myself? And people vote with their wallets. And they say, okay, I don't care if George Bush or a monkey is there. I don't care, as long as the Republicans the Republicans run the House and the Senate, and the taxes are lower, and I have more money to invest and to save, and the economy is better. At some point this changes. Okay, the Republicans go down and the Democrats take over, and the governmental spending increases, and in 4 or 8 years people say, okay, this is too much, let's redo it. So this is from my perspective, even for Romania. It's good to vote with your wallet. Say, okay, which government is going to make it as best as they can for
stable,
for the most of the people. And because if you only think about the poorest of the citizens and say poorest, what?
Purest. That really sounds Russian.
Poorest.
Okay. So that was my bad. So the people who don't have money.
No, poorest. Yes.
Okay.
If you only think about the poorest of a nation, and you say, oh, this is what we should concentrate on, focus our efforts, and the working class has major disadvantages. If you lower the base that you can put taxes on, you're left with less money for the poor people. So the main idea is for the productive class, for the productive group, those should be the most incentivized people to work more and to earn more, because if you have more of that, the government has more to tax and to give to the poor and all other social programs. So.
But you went into a political view.
Yes. My bad.
And we've already done a lot of time, so that's fine though. It is in the realm of politics. It's okay. So, but we could say that. So for me, maybe as a conclusion, or I learned that when you talk about another country's president or politics, you should begin the sentence with, and you should actually say this out loud. I'm gonna say something about another country's president or politics, and I admit that I don't know anything about it. But this is something that I've read, or this is something that I believe.
You're never going to do that, but
no, I am, and I do this, and I try to do this, and I think it's important. And then you say, and then you say, but I believe, based on very little evidence, that Trump is bad because he says bad things, or Trump is good because even though he said bad things, he did some good things. And I don't really know what those good things are, but I think that's an important attitude to have.
And I think this might two tests.
And after 2 minutes, you should say, we talked enough about politics, let's move on to another subject. So it's better to be ignorant about other countries.
Yeah, because sometimes you get worried a lot about things that you cannot influence in any way.
Yeah, and that ruins your time with friends or your alone
You can,
time.
if you want to have a discussion,
2 minutes.
if you want to have a discussion, it's okay. But if you're going to argue with someone,
Yeah.
that's a different idea. But
yeah.
my thoughts about politics, like internal politics or external, outside from your country, it's let's say like this: make those two tests that I'm talking about. The first one is look at the news from last year or for 6 months ago, or even look at the news now and check it, write it down and check it out after 5 or 6 months.
Yeah.
Is it still relevant? Because when we thought that we heard that Trump was president, people were all the news, the mainstream news, were apocalyptic in their approach.
Half of America is moving to Canada.
Yeah, everybody is moving to Canada. Everybody is going to die. Everybody, this is going to start. This is a Russian agent, and all the things that. And if you take those news and you put them in today's perspective, okay, did any of those things happen? Yeah, I think 5 people moved to Canada, but not for this reason.
Yeah.
Because the rich people, the rich Hollywood star that they said they would move to Canada, they like it more in the US now because they have lower taxes than they had before. So they like their money. So being outraged all the time is not really helpful because in the long term it doesn't count. It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. Yeah. And the second test is see if you can be ignorant or don't watch any news for a whole month. And political news, no. But any news it's fine as well. And see how you feel after that. And after 1 month you see, I have an urge to watch some news.
No, it's fine.
It's fine, watch news. But you will find out that, okay, all the news that I watched before that made me sad. And made me want to cry and made me want to say, why am I living in this country? Bad place. Yeah. And after 1 month of not watching the news, see what it does for you. Yeah. Because you might say, like I did, okay, that wasn't such a bad month. Yeah, politically they had some issues, but I had time to work on myself, work on my family, work on my job or other things, and I had time and a clear head.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I recommend that too, and yeah,
with
it
this,
has good results.
See you next time.
Yeah.
It always shocks me.